Hello everyone, my name is AZZATRU, how are you, and welcome to another Star Wars Battlefront 2 video of mine. And in this video, I am going to be talking about the new patch that has just gone live today in Star Wars Battlefront 2. So we got some new content in form of a new hero ship, a new map for Blast, a new type of setting for Mos Eisley, and a few other things, plus mainly nerfs in terms of gameplay changes, but there were a lot of other stuff as well. And the patch notes did not cover everything, so I will be talking about stuff that you won't find in the patch notes, but if you do want most of the details, there will be a link to the patch notes down below. Now, I feel this patch is great because the game feels a lot more balanced now. However, I have a statement to make. So, several people have been saying, I say several, a lot of people have been complaining this patch is not good enough. They wanted customization options. They wanted some sort of Season 2 update with new heroes and maps, which have not been announced yet. People wanted new blasters, and they never announced this was going to happen in this new patch, right? And according to CJ on Twitter, who is the weapons designer in Star Wars Battlefront 2, he states that this patch was made in retaliation to the feedback from the Last Jedi season when all the new content came out. So this patch is theoretically around 3 weeks old, maybe a little bit more, because they had to do the patch, they had to get it completely QA'd, then approved, and then released. And over that time, they've been on holiday for about 2 weeks for Christmas. They only got started back to work last week, right? Or yeah, last week it was. It was last week. So when Dennis has been teasing stuff for the last 5 days, you cannot expect brand new content in the form of customization options and stuff like that to just suddenly appear 5 days later when, yes, they are in the files, but there is so many holes they have to get through and hurdles they've got to pass and more stuff they want to change. Like, you can't change a progression system in 5 days. So, you know, sit tight. The next patch, I'm sure in 2 weeks time maybe, is going to be the one that includes the new stuff. If it doesn't, it's got to come with Season 2 whenever that comes. Hopefully that's soon, but that's just my take. I'm only going off the time they've had. They've not had a lot of time, whereas people seem to think all this teasing they've been doing over the past week was for this patch. No, it wasn't. Now that's out of the way, let's talk about what's actually in this patch. So, there is a new blast map in the form of Crait, which is what I spoke about a couple of weeks ago. The designer actually did say it was coming, and here we are. And it's actually the first stage of the map, so it's very close quarters. It's quite fun. The spawns are pretty bad, but again, it's a blast game. Like, we're not playing the objective, just have fun killing people. That's all it is. Next up, we have a new hero ship, which was a huge surprise. So Iden Versio's tie-in is actually in the game now as a hero ship. It equals the hero ships for heroes versus villains, and it's okay. Like, it's not great, but if you want to play as a TIE fighter, an upgraded TIE fighter, that could rival Luke's X-Wing, for example, by all means do so. It's there now, and it's just something. It's got 4 abilities, just like Poe's X-Wing. Whole heap of star cards for it, so it's just something else to unlock. It does cost 5,000 credits, but at the end of the day, it's just something extra to play, and it would work well on the original trilogy maps. They also added a night map for Mos Eisley, and this was actually leaked a couple of weeks ago, but it's now officially been put into the game. So Mos Eisley in night looks incredible. So those night vision scopes that you really don't use at all come in handy a lot on this map. There was also a few handy UI changes, or additions I should say. So these weren't mentioned in the patch notes as well, but when you complete a milestone, it will now show up in game rather than having to go and back out of the game and check if you've actually completed it. So when you get 200 kills finally on a blaster, you will get it, basically. It'll notify you, so that's okay. And on top of that, they've also made it where when you're getting a buff or a cooldown, it shows up in the bottom right hand corner. So for example, when the officer is buffing you, it will show you. And another thing that I found to be really useful is that they've reduced the amount of kills needed to get weapon modifications and weapons. So it's reduced, it varies depending if it's a weapon or mod, but it's typically about 100, 50, or well, 50 to 100, so that's quite cool. I actually unlocked a few stuff because I had so much progress towards that rank and I was above the current threshold that you need to get those weapons and mods. Finn's had quite a hefty nerf, so I'm going to try him out because he was really good, and now I have a feeling he just is not. Phasma hasn't had the buff that I expected, but her F11D generates less heat and actually sounds decent now. It's been changed a little bit. Boba Fett has had a huge nerf, and a lot of people are saying he's useless, but his EA3 has actually been buffed, so apparently he is more usable in some respects, but there is a lot of hate towards Boba Fett. Well, just DICE for nerfing Boba Fett at the moment. I haven't tried him out, but he's not a hero that I really cared about. Like, I have like a few star cards for him. He's only like rank 4 for me, so I really don't care for him. The Wookiee Warriors finally got a nerf, but it's still usable. It's not completely useless, which is great here. It's still a viable option, but only in the right hands. The Specialist has actually received a bit of a buff because that was the weakest class, so that's great. And the Heavy has received some nerfs as well. So the Supercharged Sentry does not do as much damage, and on top of that, it doesn't last as long, so that's great. These officers received a nerf as well, and on top of that, there are a ton of weapons that have received buffs. So the Blurg has taken a huge hit, but it's still really powerful with explosive shot and the burst fire on it. So, well, the 4-round burst. It's still quite powerful, which I'm surprised about. Barrage has been buffed, so that's really good now to use. And the CR2 has also received a nerf. The Trip Mine now allows you to use 2 Trip Mines at any given time, so it's kind of useful, maybe. We'll have to give it a go, but it's one that I have not used since launch. It's not very good, but they have buffed that. And yeah, there's been a lot of stuff they've changed. They've added some bugs, but that's always going to happen with games, so we'll just have to wait and see about that. So overall, they've made a lot of changes in terms of weapon balancing, reinforcement balancing, hero balancing. They've added some new content, which was a bit of a surprise. They've also actually changed some visual elements like blaster bolts a little bit, sound a little bit. Overall, they've just, it's a quality of life patch. It's just to help the life of the game, and it's okay, and that's fine. So I've got a bunch of videos coming out over the coming weeks, so don't miss out. Make sure you do subscribe. I'm trying some new stuff, so let me know when you do see new content, whether you like it or not. And if you missed yesterday's video where I go incredible with Chewbacca, who actually has not received a nerf, and a lot of people are mad about that. I'm not, because I love Chewbacca. He's really OP in Heroes vs Villains. Go check out that gameplay. That was pre-patch, and I did really well with it, so he might actually be better now the other heroes are nerfed, but we'll wait and see. That's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you all in my next Star Wars Battlefront 2 video. Goodbye.